Hi, I'm Ashley, and this is Crafty with Ashley. My channel is all about personal expression through different creative outlets. For me, that looks like painting, baking, and crocheting. So today we're going to be talking about watercolor painting, and I'm going to show you how to make these super simple and beautiful Christmas tree watercolor cards. So if you're like me and you're a really bad procrastinator, these are perfect. These literally took 5 minutes each. And if you were to batch produce these, which I do suggest, and make like 10 of each style, it'd be even faster because then you wouldn't have to worry about your drying time, right? So you can paint in your trunk on all 10 cards, go straight back to the first one and do your swirl and not have to worry about it bleeding or anything. And you would get faster with each of the techniques if you're doing them over and over again. So these are seriously so fast. So grab your watercolor paper and your paints to get these personalized cards done today.
Our first card is a modern swirled Christmas tree. The colors I'm doing are silver and blue. So we're going to start with a very simple trunk. It's just burnt umber, and I'm pulling a straight-ish line down from where I want the top of my tree to be to the bottom. I do want to leave some space around the tree because I'm going to put a star on top, and then I'm going to put a border around the card also. And then I'm going to mix my green. So I don't want pure sap green in this. It's just a little bit too bright, a little too vivid, and I want it to be a little bit deeper. So I'm going to add some of the dark blue to that, and that creates a much cooler, richer green color. And we start at the top point of our trunk, and we're just literally swirling a line. And you can do this a lot faster than I'm doing here. I'm kind of doing this very precise for demonstration purposes. But if you're going to batch produce these cards, you can actually, have a bunch of cards lined up. You're going to do the trunk on each one. And then by the time that you've done maybe the 10th card, your first one will be dry. You can go right in. You can do a swirl, and you're going to get even faster as you keep doing these. So just, I do recommend kind of batch producing multiple of the same card. And then you can change up the colors in terms of the decorations on your tree, right? So the Christmas ornaments. So just swirl all the way around. You're thinking about going behind the trunk and then in front of the trunk, but you can't really see that anyway. So you don't actually have to do it. But in your mind, think about that. It'll get your proportions better. Go in and deepen up that green because as it dries, it kind of fades out. And then we're going to add our blue Christmas ornaments. I keep wanting to call them baubles because I've been watching a lot of British YouTubers doing their painting tutorials. And right now it's Christmas season. So they call them Christmas baubles. And I kind of like that better than Christmas ornaments. So I might start saying it. But anyway, I'm just doing blue. I'm doing one at the kind of outside curve of each spot. They're kind of teardrop shaped. Make them whatever shape you want. And then I'm going to go in and use my metallic paints. Link to all of my materials in terms of the paints that I'm using, and the brushes will be in the description below. But I'm using my silver metallic to create a very simple star. I just start with the top point, go down on each side, across the middle, and then I connect them and fill it in. Super simple. Now, we do want to add a border to this card. This just gives it the finished look of kind of a more professional card. Obviously, I am not a professional painter. I do this for fun. I do this because I like it. I'm completely self-taught. But for this border, I'm using a small flat brush, loading it up with my silver paint, and then just dragging it right along my tape line. So that's going to give me a nice crisp outside border, whereas my inside edge of that border is going to be a little bit more inconsistent, a little bit wavy. Also, the kind of density of my paint varies along my line because I'm not necessarily reloading it and making sure it's perfectly full coverage, I guess is the best term, but I'm just doing a border all the way around the edge. And then when you take off the tape, it's very satisfying, and I will do a reveal on one of my others. For our next one, we're going to do another kind of modern, but the colors are a little more vintage. So we're starting with a nice deep green, And I'm just going to start at the top and put in kind of an almost straight line for kind of my middle. It's got a little flick at the end, but it kind of gives me my first guide. Then I'm just going to put around it a bunch of little lines down. The ones on the one side of the paper are going toward that corner. The ones on the other side of the paper are going toward the other corner. And I just keep doing this. Now, I am careful not to get it too dense at the top because it could just look like a blob of green. So I'm kind of adding in more on the bottom to make it look fringy. And then I go in with just a little bit more of a brown green color and deepen it up some. Now I'm adding my Christmas baubles. So we are putting gold baubles on this tree and a gold star. So I'm going to make my star exactly the same as I did my last one. Just make my little A shape basically, and then connect my points, fill it in. Super simple star. Don't work too hard. It'll get the point across. And then we're going to add our baubles in and try to put them kind of in spots that have a little bit more of the white space. Again, this is why we don't want to go too dense. And go a little crazy with your baubles, but don't go too crazy. It just depends how dense you want your tree decorated. And they can be on the edge or they could be in the center. And just keep adding until you're satisfied with your decoration. And then we're going to add a tiny trunk. It's super simple. I'm just sweeping, kind of sticking with the same curved feel to this trunk. I did forget to add the border before I stopped the camera. So I did add a border in that same gold color using my exact same technique as the one before. So for our next one, we're going to do kind of a swirly Christmas tree in red, green, and gold. Traditional Christmas colors here. So we're going to start with making kind of a rounded triangle shape. Think pizza slice. And we're just using the same deepish green that we've used for pretty much all the trees, some slight variation because I'm adding colors here and there. Now I'm putting in a trunk. I'm leaving a little bit of space between the tree and the trunk and then just kind of painting some stripes. But then I go into some looser paint and blend it out just a little bit. It gives it just a little bit of variety in the color. Now we're going to go in and I mixed this very deep red from magenta, black, and orange. And with rinsing all of my paints in my dirty water, I get this pretty swirling gold. So I really enjoy kind of looking at that mesmerizing gold swirls. So I'm going to make the swirly trees. I'm starting at the top. It's very thin, so I'm just doing one swirl decoration on my tree there. And then we're going to do 2 swirls on the next one. This one can be really forced if you go kind of too slow. So try to keep your swirls going pretty quickly so that you're not looking like this forced, overworked finished product. So another set of 2, and then this bottom one's wider. So I had to decide here, but I decided to go with 3 for my bottom layer. I could have just done 2 bigger ones, but I went with 3, kind of keeping similar size. And then on my second layer, had too much water and paint on my brush, so I needed to go back in and sop up some of that extra paint. That's a nice thing with watercolor. You can adjust a little bit. Your paint isn't permanent on that page. And then just go in and deepen up some of those swirls. I just kind of did the one side of them, give it a little bit of a gradient effect on my swirly decoration. And then I am doing my gold star, again, going for kind of a traditional Christmas colors look here. So I have my red, green, and gold. You could easily add some baubles to this also if you wanted to, but I wanted to keep it simple, fast, easy, and just do the swirls. And then I go in and add in my border, exact same technique here as my other borders. Just load up my brush with loose gold paint, go right along that tape. And then when we peel it off and reveal it, it's going to be such a crisp edge. It's going to be so nice. Now for our next one, this is another kind of maybe modern one. I went with a purple theme for my ornaments because purple is my daughter's favorite color, or as she says, my best color. So for this one, you're going to start the top kind of similar to that first one. So you start at the top point and do like a little swirl around, but then you go out to the edge and you do another swirl, and then you're kind of coming up and just doing a loose kind of wrist flicking motion to get that swirling effect. And then once we come to the bottom one, instead of going up, I kind of went straight across and a little bit down. It just kind of filled my space a little bit better that way. To go with kind of this more rounded vibe that I have on this tree, I went with a rounded trunk as well. And because my tree isn't filled in, I decided kind of on the fly. I hadn't really planned the rounded trunk or to leave the trunk kind of open, but because my tree isn't filled in, I left my trunk not filled in, and I gave it a little bit of that deeper on the left side, just like my tree has that. And I thought that that gave it a really nice effect and a very consistent look across. Go in and just kind of add in a little bit more of a point on that top, make it look like it's coming up to the top. Now that I'm looking at this, it looks a little bit like an ice cream cone. I kind of like that too. Again, so I mixed up my kind of light purple here because it's my daughter's best color. Don't do dark purple though. It must be light purple. And then add in your baubles wherever you want on the tree. And again, you can go as dense as you want with your Christmas decorations or as kind of sparing as you want. I wasn't concerned with getting these the same shape or anything, but I did do basically just little circles, left a little bit of white space as a highlight. Same star on the top as all of my other ones. Just went with a champagne on this one and made my star. So again, if you're going to batch produce these, it's going to be a lot faster per card because you can just do all one color, right? So you're putting in all of your tree swirls for this specific card, and then you're going to go in and put in all of your trunks with the brown, and then you're going to go in and put in all of your baubles with the purple, or if you wanted to do various colors, you could, and then all of your stars with the same color, right? So you can do variety, but if you batch produce all the same colors, it's going to be so much faster. So I do kind of recommend doing that. Do, 5 or 10 of the same ones, and then it's going to go super, super fast. And when you're procrastinating like me, you need something quick to get it out in the mail, right? So you can make a lot of these really quickly. So now for the reveal, the most fun part of watercolor painting, pulling the tape off and just getting those nice crisp edges. So I just use regular Scotch tape. It works great. It repels the paint and doesn't bleed and doesn't really stick to the paper too much, but go nice and slow so you don't damage your paper. And there's our beautiful finished card. I hope you really enjoyed these tutorials. I had so much fun painting all of these cards. I think they are beautiful. They're simple, but for not being a professional, I think they turned out, pretty professional looking. And I was really pleased with how these turned out. So I hope you try it. I hope you enjoy it. I really loved making these cards today. Let me know which your favorite tree was in the comments below. For me, I am torn between these two. I can't decide which one I like the look of the best, but they were all super fun to make and so easy. Also, if you are interested and you liked this video, my next video is 4 more simple Christmas card ideas to make last minute. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little notification bell to make sure you see that later this week. Now, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really enjoyed it. Have an awesome day.